What's going on, everybody? It's the Video Game Architect here, and to all my previous subscribers who've been rocking with me, welcome back, and to everybody who's new, welcome. Here we do tutorials, and we have an absolutely amazing community. Chances are, if you don't find the answers you're looking for in this tutorial itself, you could take a peek down below, and you'll get all kinds of great advice down there as well. If you like the sound of that, feel free to hit the subscribe and join us. But without any further ado, let's get right into this new video that I'm excited to bring you guys. Welcome to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Don't Starve Together. Let's get things going. Alright, so first things first, we're going to have a randomly generated world here. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different, but keep in mind you could take these exact same things that I'm teaching you throughout this tutorial and apply it into your own game. So here they do have a whole selection of characters, but to keep it original and vanilla, we're just going to rock with original Wilson, and we're going to go just with his regular outfit. I actually really like Wilson, even though there's some new characters and they have some cool traits. His beard really does help throughout the wintertime. As he grows a beard from being alive throughout the game, it actually helps considerably with the cold. So I really like Wilson, and we're going to just go with that because that's what the game intended, at least for vanilla purposes. So here we are in the world alone. Very first thing we're going to need to do is collect some saplings, grass, and flint. So those are going to be the very first things that I'm looking for in the very beginning here. So we're going to go ahead and collect as much as we can within our direct area so that we can at least build the beginning things such as an axe and get a fire going here. Because in this game, nighttime is your enemy. So if you don't have a fire prepared for nighttime, you are going to die instantly. Basically, this monster will come and collect you, and it's game over and you start again. So not only do you need to not starve in this game, hence the name, you need to make sure that you are always prepared for nighttime and that it's never just going to surprise you, because that could be game over. So like I said, we're just going to keep collecting up this grass, and we are going to collect some berries here. Now, believe it or not, a lot of people collect berries and want to cook them and eat them and use them right away for their nutrition. You can do that. It does work. However, I actually like to collect as many berries as possible and let them rot. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but let me explain. Berries don't last very long in this game, especially if you compare them to something like carrots or something. So what we're actually going to do is collect as many berries in this beginning as we can, try to collect a little over 20, and then we're going to store them in a container and let them rot. Now, the reason why we want the rot is because it's actually, look at it as compost almost. It's fertilizer. And what we can do later on once we unlock the shovel is actually not only pick these berry bushes, but we can dig them up and create a little berry farm of our own. We can plant the bushes down again, and then all we need to do is use the rotted berries as fertilizer. So without fertilizer, they won't grow again when you replant them, but we can go ahead and use those for fertilizer. So that's why we're going to go ahead and collect those, but not eat them. So we'll eat anything else that we find. So here we do finally build our very first axe. It's very easy. In this PlayStation version, you'll just hold L2, pull up. If you have the goods, it'll automatically be able to build, and you'll go ahead and just press build. On PC, same idea, except you'll just go over there and be able to click the actual icon over there for build. So very simple, but make sure that you have all the proper things collected. Now this turkey, these damn turkeys will eat all the berry bushes up on you, so if you don't catch them in the act, they can really be a terror, because they can eat all the fruit that you want. So I'm going to actually kill this one and make him pay for the fact that he ate my berries. So that's how you trap them. If you can get them in a corner like so, right there, you can actually get really easy kills on them. A couple swings and they're gone. So yeah, keep in mind that you do have some competition for these berries at times, because those turkeys can be a nuisance. But anyway, for now, we're going to just collect those berries, as I said, for rot purposes, and then hopefully find some carrots and some other things that we'll be able to eat. We'll use those for our actual nutrition. Go ahead and continue to collect. In this first day, that's what this is all about, is just collecting all the absolute necessary. Flint is very important. Make sure you're picking up flint, like so. And here we go, here's some carrots. So carrots are really nice in this game because whether you cook them or not, they actually last a very long time. So yeah, it's really handy picking those up and using those early game for your food source. At least that's what I like to do. There's no wrong way. There's many ways to play this game, but this is a perfect spot for somebody who's brand new. If you have no idea what you're doing, this is what you want to start doing for sure. Now these tumbleweeds, as you see that I'm chasing right now, they actually release quite a few different items, and you can actually get surprise goods in there too. But they drop reeds, they drop twigs, they drop grass, all of the above, and so it's actually just a bundle. Instead of having to go pick each individual one, you can get a bundle by just grabbing those tumbleweeds. So very important. Here you actually see marble, which is not easy to get. So it's a refined, obviously, item. So if you find some things like this throughout the world, go ahead and pick them up. And even though it'll be for a little bit later game, we can store those. So you don't want to go pick too many items that aren't really useful in the early game up, especially until you get a backpack going. But we'll pick that up because why not? So we have a couple marble there, but we do have to be conscious of our inventory here. Now, if you see with this birch nut tree, when you cut it down, you actually get birch nuts sometimes. So they're actually a food source. And not only are they a good food source, they also heal you a little bit as well. So they're 2 for 1, and you have to collect logs anyway. So instead of cutting down pine trees, if you could find birch trees, especially in the beginning, they're really handy. So you see here, these are with the birch trees. They look really bushy. They don't have the pine needle look like the pine tree. So find these birch nut trees, and sometimes you get goodies along with the wood, and it's a 2-for. So here you see 2 birch nuts drop there, and we get logs. So another tip, make sure that you have some logs day 1 prepared before nighttime hits. Never wait till the last minute, because sometimes items aren't easy to find, especially when you need them. They tend to be a pain to find. So keep in mind that this whole game is about planning in front and being ahead of things. So always have some wood and grass ready so that you can start a fire. In here we're going to hold L2 again, just build another axe just as so. So this is exactly why you want to make sure that you always have twigs and flint and things ready for your axes, because it's very important that we're able to just build anything that we need immediately right there on the spot without having to go find extra ingredients. Alright, and nighttime is coming up, so we are going to get a fire going very soon here. Go ahead and cut this one down as well. As you can see, if you look at our inventory down below as well, the maximum amount of logs that you can carry in one inventory slot is 20, which is actually quite good considering how huge logs would be. So it's okay as far as inventories go, but here we're going to get a fire. You'll see it uses grass and logs. So there you go. So now once you have the fire, you could scroll over to your logs and you could use it as an add fuel option, and it will make your fire bigger and allow you to travel a little bit further away from your fire, obviously, because you have more light. So you can use quite a few different things for tinder if you need to add fuel. You can use grass, you can use pine cones if you do cut down pine trees. You can use all kinds of different types of things. As well, once you have a campfire here, you can use cook. As you can see left on the D-pad for console is cook. PC is all self-explanatory as well. Just hover over it, will show you, and that's what you want to do is cook up anything that you do have. It does add a little bit more nutrition to it, so carrots, the meat, cook it all up and you'll get a little bit more for your bang out of it. And when you eat something, if you noticed in the top right there where it has your stomach, that shows how hungry you are, your heart, which is your life, and your brain, which is your mental stability. Basically, if you eat something, it will show you a green circle highlight over it. That will represent that you're getting a bonus in those 2 categories. So if you eat birch nuts or most things, you'll notice it actually will show a little green flash over your stomach and your heart, showing that you're not only getting food, you're getting a little bit of health as well. Certain things give more health than others. Certain things give more filling stomach than others as well. So keep in mind, it depends what you're actually eating will have different effects. Now here, it's very important that you guys know there is a map. Always pull this map up, and the goal here that we're going to be doing throughout these first few days is, as we're collecting certain things, we're going to be trying to cover the outside of the map as much as possible. So we're going to walk around the edges here and there. As you can see right now, I'm going to venture off into the center areas just to collect a few things. Again, carrots are going to be important because that's what I'm going to actually be eating. So we are going to collect some things as we go, but for the majority of this gameplay, you're going to be trying to explore as much of the map as possible, because we need to know which area is which and where they are, because every single area in this game has something very specific that you're going to need, and every area is very useful. So another thing here, you'll notice that I'm going to be going after butterflies. Butterflies tend to like to fly around flowers or in these areas. So if you do see a butterfly start to land, just run up and press square or click your mouse button. And they're pretty easy to kill. And what's wonderful about them is they offer health and food. So they're really easy food source as well early game. And yeah, it gives you some health as well. So very, very handy. You can see one right here. Oh, and he sees me chasing him down, so there we go. I got him right there and pick him up. And you can see down below we're picking up those butterflies, so they're very handy as well. Continue to pick the berries. You can actually see the berries if you look in our inventory now. Instead of it being green filled all the way to the top, which shows how ripe each item is, you can see that they're already starting to deteriorate. So berries do not last long. If you are going to be picking berries for the sake of eating them, make sure that you eat them quicker than pretty much everything else, because they're going to rot on you. So the only good news in this game is that rot is actually very useful. So as I will show you guys in the next episode. As I go, making sure that I always have logs, and I continue to pick up these necessary things. Yep, and there we go, another butterfly. You see how walking on the edge of the map is very important. You basically get the entire outline. So even if you're missing some parts of the center, at least you know what's in that area, generally speaking, and you can go back if you know you need something in that said area. So all of these areas have certain things. Obviously, the greener it is, the more you'll see things growing. This more deserty area that you're looking at there is where you're going to find all kinds of useful things, including rocks, boulders, and gold as well. So that's where we're going to be doing a lot of mining in that area, which is very, very useful, because gold is going to be one of the very, very first things that we're going to be trying to collect as an item. It is quite important, and you guys will see why. So here I am going to go ahead and build a pickaxe the same way you build an axe. Just pull up that chart over there by holding L2 or by going over and clicking it, and then select the item you want to build, and as long as you have the said parts, you will be fine. So I just want to show you guys, you can pick these cactus and you can actually eat them as well, but you are going to have to pay the price of getting hurt slightly by picking them, but it's okay. For the sake of showing you guys, you can see it doesn't take very much health, so I guess if things were absolutely drastic, you could go ahead and pick them and eat them if the need ever called, but you shouldn't have to. Now, unfortunately, I did have to drop that birch nut there just because we are running low in our inventory here, but we're going to solve that. It's just for now, and I figured, why not? We're going to drop that and at least leave one slot open here. So what I'm doing now is, again, I'm just walking around the edge, but I am looking for, I dropped that axe as well because it was almost done. So I figured I'm going to drop this so that we have two slots. But as I was saying here, as I walk around this edge, I am looking for, you see these little rocks in the middle there. I'm looking for one that has little gold streaks to it. Once we find one, I'll show you here. That signifies that the rock actually has gold in it. So that's the ones that we're looking for because, as I said, we're going to be looking for gold early on. But go ahead and collect some of these as we go. These are extremely hot, as it will give you a warning there as you get close, so be careful around those. You don't want to stand too close. Continue to collect this tumbleweed. As you can see, I actually got a jet feather there. So like I said, you do collect some rare items in there sometimes. You'll even get blueprints and some other things as well. So they are worth opening up as you go. Very, very deserted out here. Doesn't have the greatest stuff here, but we're going to collect what we can as we go. Haven't found very much gold, which is surprising normally for an area like this, but it just goes to show this is exactly why you need to discover as much as the map as possible, because there's going to be other areas where gold is everywhere and there's going to be absolutely no enemies. So it all depends. It's randomly generated. So you kind of just have to play it by ear and go with the flow. So we're going to continue to explore. Again, I'm shocked throughout this entire thing that I'm not seeing very much gold. But here we go. Now you can actually see gold in those ones right there. You see the slight lines of gold? Those are the ones that we're looking for. So the only issue here is you'll see all these dogs that are running around. They can be vicious, especially in the early game. Like right now, we have no armor. We don't even have a proper weapon. So I would recommend staying away from them as much as possible, because as you can see, there's a whole group of them. So I was trying to be brave here a little bit to show you guys the gold, and then I see him run up. I'm like, I'm just gonna relax here for a little bit. So I don't want to die right away. This game is very, very unforgiving, guys. If you forget anything, whether it's food or nighttime, or you just get brave and end up running into a pack, the game will end on you very, very quickly. And let me tell you, when you're over 100 days in and you've made it years in even, you don't want to die on something silly. And it can happen to the best of us. So try to stay as focused as possible and maintain organization. On that note, I am aware of the fact that you can organize your bottom row. Typically, I do that. I'll put weapons on the left side, food on the right, and anything else in between. However, in these very first few days, I'm not really focused on that. It's more about just getting this early game stuff knocked off and preparing for the later game and actually building a base and all of these. So for this early on series, I'm not really worried about it. We're just gonna kind of go with the flow. So I will show you by breaking it open right there. That's the gold nuggets that we're looking for. However, now these dogs are mad, so I am gonna just hightail it out of here. I showed you guys what you're looking for, but we're gonna go to a different area to collect it, because trust me, it's not worth dealing with these dogs to have to collect. So we're just going to try to run ourselves out of here. If you guys do get in trouble like this, just keep hightailing it. If you see any paved roads, do hit some paved roads, because they will actually allow you to run considerably faster. So that will help as well. But I don't see any in this area, as you can see, so I was just running for it. Another thing here, guys, in the settings, I meant to tell you this in the very, very beginning. Come to settings and turn off your screen shake and lag compensation. Basically, the lag compensation will try to compensate the lag that they already preconceive is going to be there because it's online, and it ends up actually making things worse and more difficult to fight enemies. So turn off the lag compensation altogether. And the screen shake is just whenever there's something heavy around, or whenever there's any type of craziness going on your screen, the screen would abruptly shake, and it makes it really hard to play, actually. So I recommend turning both of those off, and then it just kind of makes the gameplay a little bit smoother. So because we're doing just a vanilla tutorial here, and I'm keeping things very simple for you guys, we're not going to be worried about any mods or anything like that. We're just going to go simple, and that's exactly why I'm actually playing it on my console. Because we're doing a vanilla run, there's no need to play on PC. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one with you guys. All the same, whether you're playing on PC or console, it all works the same. So all of these same tips and tricks work for you as well if you are on console or on PC. It does not make a difference. So this one dog just does not want to leave us alone, but we're going to keep running. Continue to get the outline of this map. Very, very important that you guys rotate your screen. Oh, as you can see, I actually got a blueprint in that tumbleweed there, but I'm not able to hold it, again, because our inventory. So now that I'm getting a nice little idea of how large this is and the outside of it, I am going to just go ahead and leave this area, or attempt to leave. As you can see, it can be a little bit different, but yes, make sure you're rotating your screen as much as possible to the direction that you're actually running. It can make it very, very difficult if you just want to leave it on the same or in the same position. It's counterintuitive, and it's not going to help at all. So do not be afraid to rotate the screens. For console, it will be L1 and R1 for PS4 or PS5, so I'm sure it translates to the left button and right button on Xbox. Same idea. It's very, very simple no matter which you're on. Just make sure that you do know what buttons it is to rotate your screen so that you can rotate during it. Very, very important. You'll notice I use it all the time. And now we're on the paths. Again, if you notice, there's paths in the ground. Sometimes your dude will walk a lot faster if you stay on the path. But because I'm trying to explore these areas, I am going to get off the path there and just try and walk along this edge. And here we go. There's bunnies everywhere. We can set traps for those as well. We could build those later on. You actually build them out of grass as well. So very, very simple to build those. That is one way of collecting meat early in the game if you want to do that. But because we are exploring, we are going to find so many berries and carrots and so many other things as well. Birch nuts, you name it. We're not even going to have to worry about bunnies right now. But later on, I will show you guys how to do that for sure. So here we found the same area, same desert looking area again, and as you can see there's no dogs around. Here we can actually pick up rocks, moon rock there. You saw that's another special looking rock. Anytime you see a rock that doesn't look like those two on the right, you know there's something in it. So here's a gold one, a perfect example without getting attacked. And you know you're going to find at least one nugget of gold in there, and sometimes you find two. So we're going to go ahead and start digging out these, trying to collect our gold, get it up. All right. And there is finally tons of gold here. And actually, you can see there's a little gold nugget just sitting out waiting for us. So we'll go ahead and grab that as well. And continue to collect. Flint again. Always make sure we have flint, sticks, and grass, which we do right now in spades. That's good. That means we're staying on top of it. So we can continue to do this gold grind. Go ahead and build a new pickaxe and start finding more gold. I typically like to collect about 20. Once I get to 20, I know I'm comfortable for at least the next little bit in the game, which is huge. So try to get to 20 if you can. There's no specific rule that it has to be 20, but hey, if you can get to 20, that's a nice spot, because that means you don't have to come hunt for gold anytime soon. So while you're in the area, you might as well collect. All right, beautiful. Again, it's getting close to nighttime here, guys, so make sure you're always looking at your clock and always be prepared to set down that fire, especially until you have a base set that you always run back to. But until then, make sure you have it prepared. Okay, gold nuggets, collecting those up. Make sure that you guys are always opening that map and maintaining an idea of where you are and what you're trying to explore, because you can end up just running in circles if you don't pay attention. So you'll see me opening up that map quite often during this tutorial, but it's very, very important. Alright, go ahead and start digging out more gold in this area. You can see I set the fire down somewhere where we'll be able to actually do some collecting, so that helps. Go ahead and start cooking up some carrots here. I'll show you this cactus. If you cook it up, you get some cooked cactus. Looks grilled beautifully. So you can eat it. It is useful if you're willing to take the little pinch to get it off. Pretty sure you could chop it down as well without getting hurt, but if you are going to just go pick it, be known that you're going to get hurt a little bit. But yeah, carrots, we're going to go ahead and grill all those up as well. So here's what I was trying to build right off the get-go. This is why we needed gold. A lot of people wait until they have their base, but we can always rebuild another one. It's very, very simple, to be completely honest. So we're going to go ahead and build a science machine for this reason exactly, that we could now build a backpack with the science machine. And once you build one prototype of anything off of the science machine, it is then available to be built without being around it. So that's why it's so important to build as many prototypes as possible off of these machines when you're near them. And then if you're out in the world and you need something that is required for the alchemy or the science machine, you could do it without being anywhere near them. So always make sure you build as many prototypes as possible. So here you can see now we can refine logs into boards, we can refine grass into rope, and we can refine regular rocks into cut stone. So everything is refinable, and again, that's why it's so important we get those prototypes down, because we're going to need to be able to refine those things out in the wild for sure. And here you can see for a spear we're going to need some rope, so I am going to go ahead and build that first prototype, and then bam, as you can see, it is no longer have the little light bulb around it, so showing that you have built the prototype and you're good to go whenever you need to build it again. Go ahead and do the cut stone as well, and there we go. So for all the original refined items that you're going to have, we have those ready to go now, and we no longer need the science machine for that, which is very handy. Now for the alchemy machine, you can see what is required. We are going to need boards, so I am going to go ahead and cut down some trees so that we could get that going as well. Again, a lot of people will tell you to avoid these right in the beginning and just continue searching out the entire world, but because they are relatively easy to build, I mean, we're only 4 days in and we have everything we need and more to build them. Why not get them set down, and then you can have some things to make the game a little bit easier as you are exploring. We can have gold axes, gold shovels, gold pickaxes, which work 10 times better than the original ones that we're using right now. So I like to at least get some of those things unlocked, including the backpack, which is arguably the most important thing, because the inventory is so bloody small when you start. So as you can see, just having that backpack on will make it a lot easier for us to collect more and continue to go throughout the game. So I disagree with people that say you need to leave this until you're ready to start building a base. If this isn't where we're happy as far as a base goes, we can always move it, and I just kind of look at this as like a temporary base. So go ahead and build some more boards. So we have a chest built, we have the science machine, we're going to get the alchemy machine built up as well. We've stored our berries in that container there, which is very, very handy because they are going to rot away in that locked box. So as we go off and do our thing, those will just sit there, and once they hit the maximum amount of rotting, they literally turn from berries to rot, and now we have fertilizer for our bushes. So we're going to go ahead and just forget about those 20 some odd berries that we collected, let them turn to rot, and do our thing as we go. So we're going to continue to explore out. But now we have a backpack, and we have many other things too that are going to help here. So I'm going to need more cut stone because we're trying to build the alchemy machine, and as you can see, we need an electrical doodad, so we're going to go ahead and build those. And now we're going to go ahead and set down the alchemy engine. So now this will unlock a whole next row of things. As you can see, we have the luxury axe, luxury pickaxe, luxury shovel. The shovel is now unlocked as well. So I'm going to go ahead and build all of the luxury ones with the gold, so that again we have the prototype built and I can build these while I'm out in the wild. Again, this is why I set these down. It kind of just, it's for the ease of the game, as you guys will see in a little bit here, compared to these regular axes and regular pickaxes. it's a drastic change, and you won't have to build them every few minutes as you go throughout the game. We can just focus on collecting. So I am going to go ahead and get rid of this original axe just by using it out instead of wasting it. So we'll cut down a few more trees. As you can see, it's at 30%. Monitor here how fast this percentage goes down, and then compare it to the gold ones when we use it. Just keep this in mind. And you'll see that you could chop down a whole tree and only lose about 3 or 4% with the gold one. It's absolutely insane. Whereas you're losing a percentage for every chop with this one. So this is why it's worth just building those science machines and getting that stuff done in the very beginning. Just over with, and then you don't need to worry about later, and it kind of makes it easier for us to do this. Now this will happen when you're near these evergreens or the pine trees. Keep in mind, some of them could turn into a living tree and they will attack you. But we have ways of handling this, and I can show you a few here. So they are good to get because we are going to need their resources. So you are going to have to start killing these things at some point in the game regardless. So do get comfortable with fighting most things in the game. It's going to happen. And sometimes, yes, you may get hit. It's going to happen as well. Things will go down during the game. But don't worry, at the end of the day, as long as you have the food ready and the butterfly wings ready, we can get that health back as well. So it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to collect a few more things before nighttime hits here, because nighttime is definitely coming. But we're already on day 4, and we already have a lot of luxury items built. And we're going to be in a position where we are doing okay, considering it's only day 4 going on day 5. So watch this. The luxury axe now is equipped. And watch this, even the gold pickaxe. Look at how fast that is. And we're only at 98%. So this is why I think it's actually worth it to set those up in the very beginning, just because of how much easier it is to use the items and how often you're going to have to build them if you just use the regular ones. It's not worth the hassle. It's worth the hassle setting up the machines over that, in my opinion. So I would recommend going this route, guys, and going with that for sure. But here, I'm going to take care of this beast too, because he's bothered me and he wants to pull up on me, so we might as well take care of him. What you can do is, it's logical, but you can actually use the fire to fight these trees, which is very, very handy. So what I'm going to do is just kind of keep them in the fire here and start walking circles around them and try to keep them in it as long as possible. You can see he's kind of smoking slightly. It takes a while for this to work, but you can just keep dragging them around. And eventually we're going to catch them on fire. Alright, even though we're not 100% built for fighting them, why not? Because we are going to have to be brave enough to fight these guys eventually, so try and catch them on fire here. It should help a little bit. All we do have for weapons is a basic spear right now and this gold axe. I'm not 100% sure which is going to be more useful on him, considering he is a tree and we do have the gold axe available. You guys let me know in the comments if you know what would be more useful, a simple spear that you start off with or the golden axe. But anyways, we're going to use a little bit of both on him here, and we will get him dead eventually. So I messed up there, but typically what you want to do is get him to swing, hit him 3 times, and then bounce out and come back in, just like so. So if you do it right, you're not going to get beat up too bad here. So I hesitated a little bit. I'm going to make him swing, and then we'll go back in for it. Now, 1, 2, 3, and get out. 1, 2, 3, and get out. So kind of just work like this, and eventually we'll get him, but I actually got a 4th one in there. But yeah, if you just take your time like this, eventually you will get them down. You'll see here they could take quite a bit of punishment though. They definitely are not weak. So we swapped over to the spear now. Give them some whacks with that. It's hard to say which one was more useful because I think I ended up finishing it with the spear. But we did a lot of work with the fire and the axe too, so who really knows. But either way, as long as the end result is him dead, that's what matters. Like our guy's saying, go for the eyes. Get her done. There you go. And so there you go. We get monster meat, living log, which is very, very important later on. And yeah, there you go. That's what you get if you kill one of those. So it's worth it. We beat him. He's no longer an issue. And now we can go back to what we were doing before, which is simply trying to explore more of this map. So we're going to keep walking along this edge line, keep it going. I do want you guys to know as well, if you ever get in a situation where you want to keep traveling during the night, which is possible, I don't recommend it because you can run into mobs and things. But even if you just wanted to do it, or you only had the resources for it, you can build a torch and survive through the night. However, make sure you do not build it too early and then equip it, because if you don't equip it, basically as soon as the nighttime starts, you will end up in a position where it will run out while you're out in the darkness, and that's not ideal. That's not what you want. So do try to kind of plan all these things out. If you are going to use the torch and continue walking, make sure you have it ready the same way you would have a fire ready right before nighttime kicks. Alright, continue to pick up some gold as we go. And as you can see, as I pop that map open quickly, just to make sure I'm going in the right direction, that things are getting filled out in this map. And we are starting to understand our world a little bit better as we do this. So this is what you always want to do in the beginning of the game, is understand where you are and where you want to be. Because when you're trying to decide where you want your main base to be, there's quite a few things that you want to take into consideration. And location, 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 just like in real life, right? So in order to understand which location is the best, you need to understand what's around you. So we're going to go ahead and just continue what we're doing and continue this grind. But now that you can see, I worked along the edge and I figured the edge line out. There's no need to go fill out the center or anything like that. We're just going to continue to find a new edge and work our way along, because that is the goal here, is to explore. So we're going to continue to work out the edges and pick up gold whenever we see it as we go along. At least until I reach over 20, and then I'll eventually stop doing that. But might as well collect it while it's on the way here. And now you can see, after I picked these bushes, I have been digging them out. Now, the reason why you want to dig them out is because you'll notice that down below you'll actually have the berry bush, and it will bring up the option for you to plant them. So once you plant them, again, we'll be able to use that rot later on that we have sitting there getting ready for us in our box back at our temporary base. In that little storage box, our berries are currently rotting, and by the time we're finished all this stuff, they should be just about completely rotted, and then it will be good to use for fertilizer for our bushes. So now not only are we going to collect the berries, we're going to take the bushes with us as well and try to collect about 20 of them. And then you have like a little farm wherever your main base is, basically, that you can come back to. And whenever you come back, you can have berries ready for you. And you basically have a steady source of food without having to worry about the world producing it for you. So this is why we're going to kill two birds by collecting those as well. Again, with the golden shovel, that's going to work 3 times better than the original one. So you can't tell me that building the science machine and the alchemy machine early isn't useful. I just disagree completely about waiting for it until you have your main base. But I digress. I've talked enough about that. Gonna keep collecting grass and twigs along the way, guys. If you notice that your twigs or grass is getting low at all, just keep collecting them, because you're basically going to be using these for almost every recipe, whether it's a refined or not. You're going to need these things, so continue to pick them up. Gonna grab some of these saplings. Grabbing carrots. Again, carrots last pretty much forever, so make sure you pick them up. You don't want to leave those behind. I have actually heard that some people do leave carrots, because apparently if you leave carrots even through the winter, they'll always stay around in that exact spot in the land. So some people leave them for later in the game, but I don't really understand the point of doing that, so I just collect them as I go. But again, be prepared for when nighttime is about to fall. As you can see, it was very close here, so make sure you have a fire set down before nighttime. You don't want to play that game and end up getting screwed, so let's not let all our hard work go to waste. We're going to make sure the fire is ready, and then we always make sure we have enough fuel in it, and that we cook and do whatever we need during the nighttime. Chef up our berries here. Again, we're going to eat these ones. We're not always going to use every berry for rot, but just those beginning ones. Pine cones, as you can see here, can be added as fuel. They don't do as much of a log as you would assume, obviously, but if you put enough of them in, they're just fine for a fuel. So if you just want to get rid of the pine cones and don't feel like actually planting them as trees, go ahead and just throw them in as fuel. So they don't have to be completely useless. And here, if you do make a fire too close to forests or anything that is flammable, such as grass, you can actually start a forest fire, which is hilarious, but I also think it's really cool addition in the game. So do keep that in mind. If there are lots and lots of trees around, make sure you either cut them down or you find an area a little bit separate from them that you can plant the fire down without burning the entire friggin' forest down. So yeah, it can get out of hand, believe it or not. Depending where you are, it can get pretty wild. So make sure you keep that in mind as well. Very, very important. Again, I notice our grass is getting a little bit low, so I'm going to continue to pick some of that as we explore. Working our way up, always double checking that we're going in the right direction and that more of the map is being exposed. Also, when you do go to pick something like you just noticed there, sometimes make sure they finish the entire animation before you move your character, because in this game they will actually end up stopping your animation because you tried to move out, and then you have to do it all over again. It's not like if you halfway picked it, it will continue on afterwards. No, it doesn't work like that. So make sure that when you do go to pick something or whatever it may be, that you completely finish the animation before you start moving, because it can be a drag to deal with. Trying to chase this turkey. It's sometimes they can be really easy to get in the corners. Other times it just becomes annoying, and I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna let it run. But yeah, you can't hunt them down as I showed you in the beginning game. But see, this time he's actually being clever. He doesn't want to get in the corner for me, so. And I also forgot that berry bush, so I'm going to go ahead and collect that. Pick up the carrot. Another bush that I left, scoop that, take it with me. As you can see, you can hold 10 in one inventory box, so I'm going to hold about 20 of those total. Another carrot. You see, the world has food everywhere. It's quite plentiful, especially in these early ones. Obviously, when it hits winter, it's the most difficult because things aren't growing in wintertime and it becomes very, very difficult. So this whole beginning stage here is basically a prep for wintertime, including that glorious beard that you see growing right now. That is definitely part of the winter prep. Yeah, but for real, it's important that your stuff is all set and ready to go by the time you hit your first freeze, because you don't want to be worrying about where is this, where is that once you're actually freezing to death. You want to be able to make sure that you're able to maintain all the necessities just to get through winter, and then things will start growing again naturally in spring. So it's all about getting through that winter, and then yeah, it's on to the new year. So we're gonna be prepared. You guys will see. Continue to dig out and research more. You guys can see this map is getting bigger and bigger. Flint. Carrots. Digging it up. So yeah, it's pretty simple actually, truth be told, in the very beginning game here. It's more about just collecting, which is, I mean, a huge chunk of this game, granted, altogether. But as you get into a deeper game, it becomes more about the refining and about the building than it does the collecting. So things will get easier to collect too as you build better tools as you go through the game. So it's kind of a full circle thing. Everything works full circle here. The more time you put into your character, the easier it actually begins to do all the things that you need to do in the world. So here's our birch nut trees. These are the ones that I prefer. These are the ones I look for typically. Again, if you're going to cut down a tree anyways, why not get some food out of it at the same time instead of just a pine cone, which is fuel, or I guess you can use it to plant a tree altogether. But I don't know, there's enough trees in the world that I'm not really too concerned with having to replant mine, unless you were just doing it for either decoration purposes or whatever it may be. But again, that would be something that would happen later on anyways. So there, I actually made a garland out of the flowers. So in this game, flowers actually affect your mental sanity. So if you see your little brain going down, the little brain icon, that means that you're going insane slowly. So to get better, you picking flowers actually helps. And then when you do have 12 flowers, you could build a garland, which is what I built. If you notice at the very bottom of our little building section there, you'll see the hat, and that's where you'll want to go to build the flower garland. And then yeah, it'll actually, instead of having to pick flowers for a little while, it will help with your sanity having that on your head in general. So again, just trying to keep your guy sane as possible. Some people say let them go insane and do this and that, but really it's quite easy to keep your mental sanity happy if you just work on a few little things. It takes a few seconds to get it back up, to be completely honest. So go ahead and eat some roasted carrots. Get ready again to set this fire because nighttime is coming, so it is going to be going down very soon here. Here I'm just double checking where our actual little temporary base is. If you open the map, you'll be able to see the little science and alchemy machine that we built. You will be able to spot them. They can be a little tricky, but try to have a mental note of where you have your thing. Look at the surrounding area. Look for lakes around that might be identifiable, and then it makes it a little bit easier to actually find where your temporary base is. Once you build a bigger base, it'll obviously be a lot more noticeable on the map, but for now, that is the way I like to do it, is try to remember what major lake or whatever I may be by, and it will make it a little bit easier to track. So yeah, if you guys do plan where you set your fires to, like so here, I set it so that I can actually work through the night. The more you work, the better. So you don't ever want to just kind of be sitting at nighttime just staring there waiting. I mean, it happens, but if you could avoid it, that's what you want to do. You want to work, you want to keep your guy going, because time is money in this game. So the more you do, the better. And especially considering we're traveling in these first few days, we're just trying to unlock the map. You really want to friggin' take advantage of the nighttime here if you can, to actually stop and start collecting resources. And then you don't need to worry about doing it as much during the daytime. So it's a give and take thing here. And my guy keeps saying, do you hear that? Do you hear that? That is a warning sign that something that can attack me is nearby, or something that could be bad, but it doesn't always mean that it's impending doom, so don't worry. As you can see, it's just kind of a heads up. He's letting you know he's hearing something. Again, getting those birch nuts and the wood out of the tree, doubling down. By far the best trees to chop down in my opinion. because those birch nuts actually fill your belly pretty well, and they give health. So I mean, come on, give them to me all day long. And I'm gonna get that butterfly too. So this dog wants to attack me, and his buddy's gonna pull up too. So instead of moving, which I should do here, I just decided to muck them down. But it would have been smarter if I fought them a little differently there. But don't worry, we're gonna get that health back, collect some more butterflies, just like I did right here, eat some food, and we'll get it back. You will get attacked sometimes. Things are going to happen. Just don't let it go too far ever. And if you do get to the point where you think you're about to die, just run. You're better off just running and trying to get your health back up and coming back later than you are letting it all go to hell and just dying for no reason, right? So don't be afraid to run. There's many times in this game where running is the best option. This is not always a stand your ground and fight them game, especially until you have some things built up like armor and proper weapons. Then you could fight back and feel a lot more comfortable. But as I am right now, this is not in a position to be fighting people. It's not the most ideal situation. So again, I'm just looking for my little base here. It is easy to get turned around as you explore more and more. But again, you will find them on the map. You'll be able to see those little machines. So once I find out where it is, then I can tilt my map and start walking back in that direction, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make my way back to the home base. Again, when you use paths, watch how much faster I run now that I'm on the path versus when I was just in the grass. So if you see these paths that are already made throughout the game, use them as much as possible. Again, I know exactly where I'm trying to go, up north there, so I'm trying to, or north relative to where I am now. But anyways, I know where I'm trying to go, so I'm going to use these paths as much as possible to get there, so that it speeds this process up a little bit, because nighttime is on its way. So we're going to work our way back just so that I can empty out this inventory. As you see, it's almost completely full, but there's quite a few things in there that I don't want to just get rid of and start tossing. So we have a storage bin back at our temporary base, so we might as well go make use of it, right? So it's exactly what I'm going to do. Make my way back there, empty out, and then, yeah, we're basically going to call this an episode. And in the next episode, I will show you guys what we're going to actually do with the farming, or I guess if you want to call it farming. But we're going to have our own little berry bush farm, and I'll show you guys how to get that going and how easy it is to start growing your own food. So but for now, we're just going to keep making our way back. Perfect. These paths take us pretty much all the way back home. Alright, so here we are, and when you see here, the berries, they are almost completely rotted, so they still have a little bit of that orange bar, but once that little orange bar goes, then it turns into complete rot, and now we know we will have rot available for our bushes. So I'm going to go ahead and start storing things here, and then yeah, I'm pretty much going to call this a night, and this is where I'm going to leave you guys off. If you guys have liked this tutorial and you found it useful, please do hit that subscribe button, join the club. I'm going to be bringing more tutorials their way. You guys don't want to miss part 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you did like this, make sure that you subscribe so that you're up to date and you can stay tuned for the future episodes. But without any further ado, guys, this is the Video Game Architect. You guys have a good one.